I'm joined now by DW's Sarah Kelly. She is in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum. She joins me now from the snow-covered Alps. Good evening to you, Sarah. You were there today when David Attenborough spoke. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. I was there, in fact, when he received a standing ovation for his speech for that interview with the Duke of Cambridge that we have just witnessed. He said that the time for action is now when it comes to climate action. He said that the Garden of Eden is over. However, he also did leave us with an optimistic message today. He said that humanity can still take action at this point, that we can still have clean water, that we can still have thriving ecosystems, but that ultimately we need a plan. Now, Prince William basically playing into that, saying it's time now for the baton to be passed to his generation. In fact, he acknowledged that they will now have to do the bulk of the work when it comes to this. Sir David Attenborough, as we know, at the end of his career now, 92 years old. He is a heavily acclaimed naturalist, a journalist, a documentarian, also receiving an award yesterday, the Crystal Award here at the World Economic Forum for all of his achievements in his career. And I just have to say, you know, his speech, this interview, it ended with a clip from his new series. It's airing on Netflix. It's called Our Planet. And there was a scene essentially behind the two of them of a glacier collapsing as Sir David Attenborough narrated that particular segment. And you could just feel the gravity in the room of what is upon us when it comes to climate change. The crowd gasped. The standing ovation followed.
Amazing. You know, populism and politics were big topics last year in Davos. You know, you'll remember U.S. President Donald Trump. He attended. He was the star guest. This year, it's the Brazilian Trump, Brazil's new president, Bolsonaro. He spoke today, didn't he?
He did. In fact, he gave the keynote speech here at the World Economic Forum today. He was supposed to give a speech essentially highlighting the new Brazil. That is how he built this speech going into it. The message was very clear. Brazil is now open for business. This was a message to the business community here at Davos. Please bring your capital here. We are open for partnerships. He pledged to essentially make policies that would be friendly toward that. He was very light on details when it came to that, but he said that he had the right team in place and that he would push it through. You know, you highlighted the fact that he rode into power here on a wave of populism, so he's a very controversial figure around the world. In fact, he's promised to wipe out corruption and crime in his country, at times using controversial methods. For example, just last week, he passed a bill in his country making gun ownership far more easy. Also, a lot of concerns about, you know, this new economic plan that he has and how it might impact the environment, especially when it comes to agribusiness, you know, with Brazil having the Amazon there and a lot of activists wanting to protect that particular part of the environment. When it came to the reaction to his speech, it was quite muted in the room, and it was interesting to compare and contrast it, in fact, to the speech by Sir David Attenborough, which was so warmly received, whereas the speech from Jair Bolsonaro, very much hesitation in the room. You know, it was billed as the speech, the vision for the new Brazil. I would have to say that it was a bit of an overpromise, underdeliver. And in fact, you know, I turned to the individual who was sitting next to me. The speech went for about 15 minutes, and he turned to me and he said, "Was that it?"
Yeah. Well, you know, being honest there. This is the richest Davos ever, Sarah. Tell us, what does that mean and how does it fit into this year's theme at the World Economic Forum?
This is also another contrast when we look at the theme this year. The theme this year is Globalization 4.0, and it is an activist theme. There's essentially this acknowledgement here at the World Economic Forum that the economy is not benefiting enough people. And as the economy continues to change, we're said to be just on the cusp of what is going to be a digital revolution, which will affect the way that we work. It will affect the way that we interact. It will very much affect our economies. And, you know, it's expected that the losers in this future economy that is currently underway right now could be far greater. So here at the World Economic Forum, with this mission for Globalization 4.0, they say we need a new global architecture that can address inequality. The question is, can the winners of capitalism really be trusted in order to implement that vision?
Yeah, what a big question, an open question for sure. Our very own Sarah Kelly in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum. We will see you tomorrow night, Sarah. Thank you.